Yo, so Valorant has been out for over a week now. I think we're nearing 2 weeks that the beta was released, the closed beta was released, and I still have not made an aim training video, and I want to make a video about some tips and tricks and what I've learned from playing the beta, on what to do and what not to do when aiming and shooting and trying to improve your aim in this game. So I think the first thing that I should probably say is the most important thing is to get a crosshair that you feel comfortable with. Typically I do like smaller crosshairs with some sort of color that really pops, in my opinion, and I think the green is great against most of the color types of the game. Most of the walls green, or this light blue, or this pink can be seen well, but sometimes the red seems to just go missing in my eyes sometimes. So I really like the green, but I would mess around with these settings a bit to see what it is that you like, or you could copy my settings if you want. I'm not sure what you're looking for, but getting a crosshair that really just is most comfortable to your eyesight it's pretty important. I don't use firing air or movement air. I was using firing air because I saw one of the developers use firing air, and I just wanted to test it out. And I do feel like if you are relatively new to shooters, firing air can help. I personally believe that it can help, especially with learning, when your spray is being reset. So if you're going for a spray, I'm going to turn the audio down just a little bit. If you're looking to do a spray down on a character, firing air lets you know when your spray is going to be reset. So it's good for someone who doesn't have the timing down yet. If you end up hitting the body and you want to know how to reset, then firing air can definitely be beneficial. But I no longer use firing air, but for beginners it's typically it's not bad. It's not a bad setting for a crosshair. But yeah, let's get into it. So I feel like there's a couple of ways that you can improve your aim, and for starters, you want to be as comfortable with your sensitivity as possible. Typically in this game, I'm running 0.46 400 DPI. I run a really low sensitivity because I've played a lot of shooters and I've played a lot of Counter-Strike, and it's just what's more comfortable to me while aiming, or while turning, and even for movement. It's just what's comfortable for me. But you want to find a sensitivity to, basically you want something to the point where you don't shake when you aim. So you don't want something really high that could potentially, when you're trying to aim very finite and detailed, you want to aim directly at the head. You're not shaking when you're going to aim for the head. You want something, that's why I've typically gone for a lower sensitivity. If you play my sensitivity, you'll realize that I'm partially insane for running the sensitivity that I do. But I've been running low sensitivity since about 2013 when I built my first PC. So it definitely doesn't have the same effect on me that it does other people. But I do run 0.46 in-game sensitivity with 400 DPI. But yeah, those are the first two things that you really want to get down before you can even basically start playing the game. You want to come to this training lounge and you want to find, you know, a sensitivity and a crosshair that works for you. And once you get something that you feel like you're pretty comfortable with, I would say comfortability with crosshair and comfortability with sensitivity basically feels very smooth. When you're aiming, if you can leave your crosshair in sort of, you know, if you sort of don't even look in the absolute center of your screen when you want to flick, and your crosshair is still comfortably seen when you're trying to flick, I feel like that is when you know you have a pretty comfortable crosshair. Personally, something you can see no matter basically where you look on your screen. Say I'm looking in the bottom left of my screen at my, you know, at my HP, but my crosshair is still visible for me. I think that that's a crosshair that you're pretty comfortable with. Some people like to use a dot. I personally don't recommend a dot because it is very easy to lose track of, especially for beginners. I know it looks cool, but that's just personally something I wouldn't recommend. And also, a normal crosshair kind of just lines things up for you when you have the left and right outlines, more so than the up and down lines. So I would recommend definitely having the cross and not just a regular dot if you're a beginner. But I mean, if you want to use just a dot, go for it. See if it's more comfortable for you. You know, everyone likes something different. You know, we all have different eyes, so what we see and what we enjoy is definitely going to be different. So those are some of the first things that you should probably understand when it comes to aiming. So to move on to actually aiming, once you have your crosshair and your, you know, a comfortable sensitivity, the second thing, or the third thing rather, that I would say is pretty important is getting comfortable with sprays. I mean, one tapping is great for holding angles or shift locking, but what's important is being able to comfortably and accurately complete a spray down. So, I mean, once you come over here, you'll realize that all the weapons have different spray patterns. And basically this one is up, right, left, right. So this is the AK-47. So to counter, what's important about learning how to spray is countering the spray. So I go over here, I see that it goes up, left, right, left. So to counter, I will go down, right, left, right. That's how you counter a spray to make it as accurate as possible. My aim isn't really great right now, so, but I mean, that's an even better way to it's even a better reason to practice. But yeah, spray control is really important, but I would say what's even more important than knowing how to control the entire spray is to control the first, it's like first 10-ish bullets. The first 10-ish bullets are going to be the easiest to control because it basically goes straight up almost. So that's kind of the amount you want to shoot because it's probably what you're going to be most accurate with. So yeah, I want you to come here and practice seeing where your bullets are going. Practice pulling down, pulling to the right a bit. Practice seeing where your bullets go. I think it's important to be able to visualize where your bullets are going when you're actually shooting at someone, because you're not going to be able to see exactly where your bullets are going like you can in the practice. So once you gain a good visualization of what your bullets are looking like when you're shooting them, then it makes spraying easier. So I like to use something like this target board to understand what the weapon is doing basically when I'm shooting, the amount of bullets I'm shooting. I haven't covered zooming in, but I will cover it pretty soon. But yeah, this is just for when I'm zoomed out. There are two different recoil patterns. Something you should know for this game, I should have stated it earlier, is there are two different recoil patterns and two different weapon shooting firing rates. There are two different firing rates. So when you scope in, it's a completely different weapon spray than when you're unscoped. And the rate at which the gun fires is also slower when you zoom in. But when you zoom in, you are your sprays are far more accurate. There's less left and right recoil. But it indeed does take longer to kill people. I feel that it's much easier to aim for the head when I zoom in, and I have hold. I don't have toggle zoom. I don't know, toggle zoom, it kind of seems like a hindrance to me because it just slows you down a little bit. But you know, whatever your preference is what you should go with. Personally, I don't use toggle zoom. I use hold because I can zoom in and zoom out very quickly. But yeah, when you there are a lot of different sensitivities. So personally, the two weapons that I would learn first are just the Vandal and the Phantom. The Phantom, compared to the Vandal, has a much tighter spread. It's way easier to spray. The spray pattern is just not as hard as the AKs. It doesn't go up as far, it doesn't go to the right as far or to the left as far. So this is generally, and it has a faster firing rate. But the trade-off is, at a distance, this does not one shot like the Vandal does. It takes 2 headshots to kill, or 1 in a body. But from any range, this weapon is a one-shot weapon. That's pretty much the trade-off. So I'd say for beginners, the weapon of choice, or the smart weapon pick, would most likely be the Phantom, because it is easier to spray. It shoots more bullets per second, so the time to kill is quicker. So you know, if you hit your opponent in the body 5 times in the time that he can only hit you in 3 with the AK, then you're gonna win that fight. So personally, I would say for now, until you get a bit more comfortable with your crosshair and your crosshair placement and your spray control, I would prefer to use the M4 or the Vandal over the Phantom as a beginner. But as you improve and as you become more confident in your shot and your spray and your flicks, then I would definitely pick up this weapon because it is very deadly. And the thing about this gun is it does do more damage through walls. So wall banging is definitely easier with this gun. So it is definitely an advantageous weapon. I do enjoy using it a lot, but to start things off, the M4 is just generally an easier weapon to use. So that's something that I would look into using and learning. I would try to learn the M4 spray pattern, you know, the tight spread, and you know, just come in here and practice. You know, one thing that I should tell you guys, if you made it this far in this video, I should have mentioned it earlier, but when you are shift walking, you are about 80% accurate. So, and when you're running, you're very inaccurate. I know most people know this, but you're not going to be extremely accurate when you're running. But when you're shift walking, you're about 80% accurate, or 85%. Like you're still extremely accurate when shift walking. So you don't have to completely stop moving to be, you know, to be solidly accurate. What you need to do is you just need to shift walk, and you're still very accurate. You're almost as accurate as you are when you're not moving at all. So just practice shift walking in the game if you're turning a corner, or if you want to be mobile, you know, while you're shooting. Shift walking is definitely the wave. You know, standing still to line up a headshot or to hold an angle is also good, but you know, just remember that when you want to start shooting, just shift walk. It's very beneficial. But yeah, something else that I would like to add is this is honestly, it's a really good training. This has really good training settings, and you know, practice is important. Practice is what's going to make, you know, you a better player. So I would definitely say take the time to come in here for at least 5 minutes, you know, before you go into your first match. See what, you know, see how your aim's feeling, and just get warmed up. I think it's important to warm up, you know, just a good little aim practice never hurt, you know. You can see where your aim is, gauge whether you want to play or not, or keep practicing. That's also a really important thing. You know, people typically hop into their first game not knowing if their aim is on point or not, but you know, having good aim is going to help determine, you know, who wins each fight and ultimately who wins the game. So I think it's good to just get in here for 5 minutes, you know, just test a couple things out, try to see what, you know, shooting someone through a wall looks like. You know, test, you know, how you feel shooting from a range, pulling down from a range, pulling down scoped in, pulling down unscoped. Just try some things, because you're going to run into a lot of situations in game, and you can replicate a lot of those situations here in the practice lounge. So yeah. So my basically 5 tips would be, tip number 1, get a sensitivity that you're very comfortable with. You're very comfortable turning left to right with, because that's important in this game. Tip number 2 would be get a crosshair that, you know, that you can immediately recognize on your screen at all times. Something that always, very consistently pops out to you. Number 3 would be to learn the weapon sprays. Learn the weapon sprays of at least the Phantom. This is a gun that you're going to want to learn to be consistent with. It's very good to use, high DPS. It's just an animal, and it's easier to use than the AK-47 or the Vandal. So I recommend getting used to, pulling down on the first couple of shots, seeing where they land. I wouldn't take the time to learn the entire weapon spray down right now, because, resetting is just how you're gonna be able to frag out the easiest. And crosshair placement is also very important. So number 3 would be, learn the weapon spray patterns. Learn, what it feels like to pull down, zoomed in, where your bullets are going. Try to recognize where your bullets are going when you're zoomed in versus zoomed out, And tip number 4 would be to never shoot while running. I feel like this one is an obvious one, but don't really shoot while running. It's not very beneficial. Shooting while shift walking is perfectly acceptable though. You're still about 80 to 85% accurate. So I would work on this. It's not a bad idea. Yeah, tip number 5 is just take a couple of minutes today to try to practice your aim. You're not gonna get any worse from practicing, and so if you're here, then you're definitely someone who wants to learn. So yeah, just take some time. It'll take time. You have to get comfortable. Definitely have to get comfortable. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have a lot more up soon. I'm really enjoying making tutorials and relaying back what I've learned from playing the game to you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace and love.